Well, well, well. We're back to close out another day, Daz. I gotta put you on the hot seat. Who you got here?
Well, listen, there's only one team I think can win, and that's gonna be in one of these teams, because honestly, they're all both really good. Looking at this one, it's really hard to make the distinction between G2 and Furia. We've seen Furia really show up and have a lot of highlight moments, but we've also seen them struggle in NA. I think G2 are the favorites coming into this matchup, but we'll see how these teams play when they're on the field.
Furia has done just enough to get to this point. They're into the top 8 bracket. Can they do enough to survive here? Oh, what a save! But Kaio's there to clean it up after Card nearly scored a nearly impossible angle.
I mean, look at this for Card. Just getting that double so solid, forces that tough save from Chicago. And the way Kaio follows up is the way Furia plays. Full steam ahead as they get the first goal.
No surprise at all to see Furia press the issue. This is what they do. Sometimes it gets them into a little bit of trouble. They're still adapting to that North American style. But it's good enough for a 1-0 lead. Chicago looking for JNAPS. Couldn't get the pass away cleanly. So Atomic has to intercept in midfield, but Jan's got that challenge. And that leaves JNAPS all alone. And Chicago comes back to help him out. So G2 avoids any disaster there. But now they've got to reset defensively as Card was threatening. And this is kind of in disarray. Atomic will get credit after the entire Furia defense was bullied around by Chicago.
Yeah, you can see, again, a little bit of hesitation. And, again, this jump here, Kyle just trying to get that read off the back wall, ends up own goaling there. A little bit of panic set in because G2, once they start swarming on that offensive push, sometimes they can cause some disruptions, force a couple errors.
What is it? Kaio has put both goals in so far in this particular game. One on either net. Here goes Jan. Flip reset. Trying to get in front of JNAPS as well. But Naps there for the save. Coming oh so close for the second time. Trying to lift that World Championship trophy in Fort Worth. Fell short, of course, to Team BDS. Here's Jan to the crossbar and through JNAPS. 2-1 Furia.
The mechanical mastermind again, when he's in the air like that, you gotta put a hand up a little faster, Atomic. Able to get the flip reset over him into the dunk, crossbar down and in. That player, you gotta keep your eyes on this entire series long. If he gets free space in the air, it could spell immediate danger for G2.
Both of these teams building up so much momentum over the course of the previous season, and now all the way back to square one. Several months away from trying to climb that mountain again, as Kaio will bounce one to the corner. Chicago's right there, not the touch he was looking for at all. And, well, it actually kind of worked out because Kaio and Card couldn't get on the same page and decide who was going to send this ball in.
You can tell when you
don't expect G2 to make a mistake like that.
Exactly, but also you can see that hesitation too from Furia, because again, that forced a backflip from Card and Kaio, like you said. A lot of these teams have expectations of success. Imagine you see Yan going up for a flip reset, you don't know if he has a flip. JNAPS has one there, and you see him trying to put that pressure on. So these teams kind of rely on that consistency. Anytime a team is playing or an accidental whiff comes out, it throws off the whole flow. But meanwhile, G2, they're trying to get back into this game. We're halfway through game number 1, and Chicago able to put that one in to tie us all back up.
Reed in the right place at the right time, hanging around on the back wall. Kaio saw him there and tried to get there, but just not fast enough. Chicago barely out of his reach. And right at the halfway mark, G2 and Furia have nothing separating them. Jan with a full tank of boost. He'll defer to Card. That means he's got to get back and play this ball, maybe unexpectedly. Didn't have much of a plan with that. Good touch there by Card to leave it for Jan. And JNAPS there for the save. That could have been disastrous for G2 defensively, but JNAPS, wily veteran, coming through. Now Chicago, big clear needed. Right down the middle. Kaio's got this. We'll see if G2 can get some sustained pressure as Card has the save across. Nobody on the weak side for Chicago's ball. And JNAPS doesn't have anybody to pass to either, so he'll just try to play it to space and delay. And has done so successfully. A little floater almost found its way through.
Very good on the defensive stops is Furia. They were low on boost when that drive began. Yan here, he pulls out 2. So now JNap's going to be needed again. You see Card just hunting him, looking for a demo or on a play. And Kyo's able to win that challenge, but not in a quick enough time. G2's able to get boosted up. Keep an eye on those boost totals as things move forward. JNap's with a chance. Bar down, Atomic. No! Unable to finish is G2. It looked like they could have took the lead there.
Shades of Optic earlier. Just hit everything except the net. JNap's coming through. You want something done right, you got to do it yourself. The veteran sticks it top left.
Look at this, Kyle, he's trying to get the high ball so Card can follow it up, but not the touch he wanted. You can see JNap's quick to see that, reads the play perfectly. Great shot from Naps to give G2 the lead.
1:17 to go. And Kaio racing Chicago to the corner. Chicago got the boost, but then ate a demolition. Here goes JNap's with Atomic going underneath, and he could not get the shot at the last moment. It's deflected off the crossbar. But now Chicago with a good win. He's got JNap's to his left. Only Card to beat as Jan races back. He will get there in time, and Card doing well in the corner to keep Furia in this game here. Still down only a goal. 45 seconds left with the demolition on Kaio. And now Card needing some help from Jan. He'll go forward. Jan's come up completely empty, and this has turned into a hot mess. Atomic sending one off to the corner, and G2 successfully burned about 10, maybe 15 seconds off the clock, barely even touching the ball.
G2 looking to hold on to possession to end this game. Final 20 seconds in regulation. And again, you're going to look back at what happened towards the end of that, where Yan just doesn't get a touch on the ball. You knew he had the boost, but he just didn't even follow up to make the play. Can he make one now as he tries to lead this ball downfield? Kyle gets beat out. They're both in the orange corner. Meanwhile, G2 taking their time, running out the clock. Chicago carrying it all the way downfield, but will it hit the ground? It will. Game one goes to G2.
That was a great finishing sequence from Chicago as well. Faking the touch initially deep in his own corner. That forced Card from challenging to turn all the way around at midfield, expecting the big, powerful clear, maybe even a pinch. And as a result, Chicago bought himself the entire field to work with, brings that down to ground. G2 just outfoxes Furia in game one, but it's game one of a possible 7 here. But that man feeling very confident in his play so far.
Yeah, you're gonna definitely look at the cameras here from just kind of seeing those initial reactions. But I think I really enjoyed looking at this matchup head to head because both teams can love playing that aggressive style of play. You see G2 swarming, Atomic, not afraid to go for demos, not afraid to mix it up, leaving JNap's a lot of open space. That's kind of the same thing for Furia. We saw, again, their initial goal, that full charge forward. A lot of belief in both these teams on the offensive pitch. But as game two comes through, it's going to be the adjustments that are going to be the big difference maker here as these two Titans face off.
Onward now to Aquadome game 2. And Furia looks to level the series. Chicago and G2, at least on the aggression so far. It's JNap's. All the time in the world. Jan waiting, and he waited just enough to be able to make the save, and Furia barely keep G2 off the board in the first 30 seconds.
Good start there, though, from Naps, getting that carry. Almost was able to get the dunk. Meanwhile, Yan, he was looking for the double there. Kyle pick it up. Great read on the clear, and Furia strikes first.
It's Kaio with his second goal of the series. He's got almost all of them for Furia. 16 in the tournament. Closing in on Card's lead. Of course, he almost scored his 20th with that great effort early on in game 1. There's Atomic. Looking across for JNap's, Card in the way. So Chicago's got to take over. Got the shot off, but it's set high and out by Kaio. Follow up here from JNap's. Just doesn't feel like Furia gets any time to rest at all as G2 holds the majority of possession in this series. Atomic now launch another towards the Furia cage. And Kaio up to the ceiling. Just doesn't have much to work with there. There's nobody to pass to. Oh, G2 in his face constantly.
This is good, though. You want to keep Furia pressured. That's when you have the upper hand on them. And most of the Furia's matchups where, they've seen them struggle or drop games is because the opponent keeps the ball over on their own end for the most part. They have less chance to break out. They have less space to move up the field. This is a team that thrives with the ability to plan out how they want their offense to work. And we've seen it time and time again. But here, G2, they're able to match that speed, and they're also able to make Furia just as uncomfortable as Furia has made a lot of top teams in the world.
Furia is the type of team we like to call survivors as they make a save there. Kaio and Yan coming down to the same spot to deflect that shot away. And now Kaio all by himself. Card trying to trail in behind, but JNAPS takes that away and dumps that deeper into the Furia corner. Yan comes up empty for a second touch, and Chicago almost got a shot away, but Card's there to stop him. Just seems like Furia just a tick behind a little bit here in G2's pace.
They are a tick behind, Stacks, but they're also a goal in the lead, and they're looking at another one. You see Yan bringing it all the way downfield. It's kind of been a trend that we've seen out of Furia, at least in the first couple of games here. But for G2, even though they've had the pressure, they haven't been able to finish. Furia's defense can't hold this. I say that, but yeah, gives it away, and JNAPS puts it into the top left corner.
Well, JNAPS probably wishing every clear end up right in his lap like that one. Right place, perfectly spotted. Right at the halfway mark, we're tied, just like in game one. It was G2 that broke the deadlock in that opening game. And Furia flipped the script. Well, JNAPS forces Kaio away and got around Card as well. It took a full team effort to get that ball away from JNAPS. And now here goes Atomic. He's lost possession. And Yan, little baby pinch downfield that Chicago's able to corral, and JNAPS only as far as Kaio. Just seems like we're waiting for maybe the floodgates to open here. Oh, what a touch!
Oh my goodness.
And Yan getting some help from the inside of the post, delivering that ball right to him to clear away, but G2 gonna be wondering how they're not in the lead right now.
I mean, that was an incredible angle from Atomic. Almost able to put that one in. And yeah, you're right, G2 would have been in the lead. I mean, even despite this, with all their pressure and all their shots, I mean, they have 9 shots to 3 right now. Furia has not been able to have too many offensive opportunities. They're trying to make one here, but G2 are prepared for it. It's been the same strategy all over the course of this game. Furia have that solo play. Someone gets a flip reset, plays to the back wall. G2's been ready for that every single time. They got to do something different.
Yan has been driving almost at a figure 8 at his own back line, waiting for his opportunity to come up, and he finally does, and the ball ends up right back at his net. Card with his third save. And now JNAPS in front. Card deflects away right at Chicago, and Yan has to make the save. He's got a savior medal as well. Now finally Yan can break out, and Atomic is right there to corral this effort, and JNAPS waiting over on the side for the pass to come to him. Still a tie game here inside 50 seconds now, as Chicago looking to set up Atomic, and he peeled off, and now he's gonna race back with a full tank of boost at least, and Yan's got the pinch, but nobody there diving in.
This one ticking down. Furia looking for a way to break out. Yan on the solo once again, gets it past JNAPS, has to try to beat Atomic here on this clear, gets a bump on Atomic. Kaio comes up, but he's not fast enough. Card gets a misread on that, has to retreat, and G2 can hold on to pressure here until the time ticks down. They're in the perfect position to.
Card made sure to win that race to the boost earlier, and that helps them to make this clearance here. Final shot of regulation coming here as Kaio couldn't get that ball centered. Yan will have a look. This headed downward, it will touch down. We get our first overtime of our last match of the day. Someone goes through into the semifinals at the end of all of this. Will it be Furia surviving and advancing again, or does G2 hold serve? Yan racing downfield, and Atomic got there first.
That was so close. I'm not gonna lie, Stacks. G2 had so much pressure that game, I thought they were in the lead. Next thing I know, we're in overtime. I could have sworn another one of those would have went in for G2, but that's what I'm saying. They've had all this opportunity to do it, and Chicago will make sure it's done with that goal.
As you got ahead of the script just a little bit, it's G2 up 2. Another 1-goal victory. And we'll see if Furia takes a timeout at 2 wins or if they continue to wait.
Looking at this one, that was also the first overtime, by the way, G2 has played in this event so far.
That doesn't surprise me. They seem like they're on another level, almost like they're really on the redemption tour.
I could see it was being so close to winning the world championship and then having the performance that they had. This G2 roster seems to have refined themselves, and it does look like they're back this season with a vengeance for sure.
They are back. They are well and truly determined, but this is still the very first event of the season. It is a long, long road. It's a long road just to get to Rotterdam. Forget the other two majors and, of course, the World Championship at the end of it all. But off to a good start so far here in the quarterfinals. G2 up 2-0. No timeout from Furia here after 2. So they'll keep that in their pocket, perhaps for game 3 if things don't go their way. Give themselves a little more time as we go to the iconic backdrop of DFH Stadium for our third game. Could be eventually match point for G2 unless Furia can turn it around. We've seen that they've got the pieces, Daz. We've seen that they've been able to score early. They've been able to apply that pressure, but they haven't put the full 5-minute game together. They're going to do it again. No, Chicago deflecting one off the crossbar, keeping Furia from an early goal again.
And again, Furia, like you said, Furia with those early goals, but stats-wise, it doesn't really serve them well. G2 4-1 whenever their opponent scores first. And they're looking maybe to start this game off with a hot streak. I mean, this G2 roster is just so good. When you look at the numbers, when you look at just them on paper, and for Furia having to break through all of that statistical narrative behind G2, that's a tough task to make.
One of the first times we were really turned on to this Furia team. You go back to some of the things Johnny Boy was saying about them heading into the fall major last season. As JNAP pops one away, said, these guys are probably more mechanical than G2. Of course, that was a slightly different G2 squad at the time. And everybody kind of started rolling their eyes like, all right, yeah, Johnny Boy hitting on North America again. And then we got to see this Furia team play, and it's like, oh, wait a minute. There might be something to this. They are a team that certainly thrills with their speed and their efficiency, but they're up against it right now with a very tough and a very different G2 squad from a year ago at this point. Kaio not fast enough to stop JNAPS, and Card will just launch one back where JNAPS is waiting for it again.
Yan on the ball, straight to Kaio. It's a slow roller, but it's not in.
Hello?
Yan tries to turn. Chicago gets a save on the goal line. You would have thought that would have been the one there for Furia, but unfortunately it just goes awry.
Popped up for Chicago. He's had a couple brilliant redirects so far. Nothing net worth this time. But all the pressure belongs to G2 now as JNAPS launches another one back in. Atomic and Chicago in formation behind. And now Atomic out of the corner, got around one. And Kaio had a drop right down, and Chicago's right there. But just not fast enough. Furia this time fast enough to stop G2 for now, as that goes back out to the corner. But the buzzards are certainly swirling around here. Gotta get a big clear. Card finally does. And despite the demo on Yan, that's gotta relieve a lot of pressure.
Oh yeah, that is gonna relieve pressure for only for a moment. Is it right? Furia are just fast enough to stop G2 when it comes to the goal line, but they've been getting beat out at everything else. These midfield challenges have been so important to kind of gain space. Even some of these boost grabs have been important in maintaining, again, control of the ball. JNAP's almost slotting it. Atomic, no! Too far wide on that one. And finally, some more space to be given. Maybe Furia can muster up an attack. I say that, but JNAP's is in the air so early. And G2 back on the offensive push again.
It has to be mentally exhausting to play against a team like G2. Here's Card, double tap, bang, bang!
King Card comes up big. Yan pops it up, flip reset into the demo, and through the explosion, Card comes out of nowhere and puts it in the top left.
Number 20 of the event. Finally for Card, he gets his first goal of this series. And Yan was looking for one of his own, but he gets a demolition instead. Atomic coming up to stop him from even launching. And now Card lining up another. Chicago's got this save just over the crossbar. Yan can't get around Chicago, but maybe Kaio can around Atomic. It bounces right down to JNAPS and the little wave dash to try and get that around Card.
Big time goal. You can see the momentum here shifting in the way of Furia, but you cannot count out G2 just yet. A minute 20 to go. We've seen G2 have the ball swarming over in the Furia, but Furia looking to turn that around. Great stop of the double tap there from Atomic. That's going to be his 3rd save, but then that's also going to be the 8th save from G2. Furia have flipped the pressure on its head here in the final minutes of the game.
Atomic. Oh, he had it and he dunks it through as well. Solo effort from Atomic to tie the game.
And that's why you can't count them out until the clock is 0, because then you get this. They try for the save, but you got to be able to stop that man, Atomic. G2 tie it up.
Every youth basketball parent yelling, follow your shot. Atomic does this time. Tie game. JNAP's now around card, and Atomic will hit JNAP's indirect with Chicago coming up as well.
No way.
A well-oiled machine almost took the lead just like that.
If Chicago would have scored that, I would have jumped out of my chair, Stacks. The way these two teams have lit up here in the final minutes of the game is phenomenal. See so many close displays of mechanical prowess as Yan takes to the skies again, forcing JNAPs to go up early. He gets the flip reset over him, but Chicago maintains control of the ball. Final 30 seconds. We're tied up in game 3. The series has been close so far, but who's going to have the edge? Right now it's G2 looking to finish. JNAPs beats 1, but Kyle's back in time. No strong shot chances coming out from G2 as clock ticks down.
Card had kind of a late break on that effort from JNAPs as well. Maybe Furia a little fortunate to still be in a tie game here. So that bounces, quick read by Yan. With only 3 seconds left, Chicago throw it to the back wall, and now Atomic has to control this, and he'll decide if we go to overtime. Of course we do. So G2's gonna play back-to-back overtimes, their first 2 of the event. They get an early OT winner in game 2. They're on the attack again briefly with Yan setting this right back.
It's such a big game for Furia. You know that, they win this one, they're going to get the momentum, but also it's just the fact that, again, if they go to match point here against G2, it would take a strong effort for them to try to reverse sweep. Atomic was so close, though, to putting it on match point. If he would have got that bump a second earlier, the shot would go in. He's going to try to finish it himself, but Yan comes through to make the save.
This is a team we know is very capable of playing from 3-0 down in a series, and we're going to see how well they do today as JNAPs rolls one through into an empty net thanks to Chicago taking out card.
You can see it, the demo comes through. Toodaloo, the net's wide open, and G2 able to put this series on match point. Furia, they activated, I should say, a little bit later on into the game. They finally were successful on offense. It looked like they had everything going for them. But G2 kept fighting. Atomic lit up. Chicago getting involved. And, of course, JNAP's going to put that one in, forcing now a timeout here for Furia as they are on their last life here in the Fall Open. 3
very important points on the line here. The difference between a 6-point quarterfinal finish and 9 points just for reaching the semis, and the potential for more as we continue on. So an important timeout for Fury to take here to try and get on the same page and figure out how they are going to erase a 3-0 deficit against, let's face it, Daz, this is looking like the mighty G2 that we were accustomed to near the end of last season.
Yeah, G2 just look like a team that can't be beat at this point. They've been practicing, they've been refining the already dominant skills that they've had over the course of last season. And the way that they've shown up in this tournament has been nothing short of spectacular. Now it's just about, obviously, for them finishing the job, but we'll see what Furia have here in this particular timeout. Definitely have to talk things over, because even though Furia changed up the shot possession, the shot amount in that last game, it still felt like G2 had an edge and had a semblance of control there. And Furia ended up, there's some mistakes that are made, but G2, after Atomic scored that goal to equalize, they played on another level, a completely different pace, completely different speed. And they made short work of that. For Furia to be able to stop G2, that's the question all of North America's have been trying to answer in terms of their competition. We'll see if they have what it takes.
Yeah, again, the first half of for the most part, the first half of these games has belonged to Furia. It's just a matter of closing out those games. G2 has won the second half decisively of every single game in this series. That last game, though, as you mentioned, Daz, end of regulation, felt a lot closer, but it still wasn't enough. Utopia Coliseum now the backdrop for Game 4. Could be our last match of Saturday. We'll find out as they kick it off one more time.
Chicago already off to a good start. Keeping up that possession. G2 always do so well off those initial kickoffs. Being able to grab control of the ball, play things in their favor. Let's see what Carr can do. Oh, he can get that double, but it's not going to go in. Could have been a great chance there for Carr to start things off on the hot foot for Furia. He's had a pretty good series so far in terms of individual performances, but that one doesn't go in this time.
We've been talking about fortune a little bit, and you do have to get lucky to some degree to win an event like this. And I think on any other day, G2 might have a different outlook of this series against Furia. We've seen a few of those kind of free runs to the backboard not result in goals that most of the time do for Furia. Jan coming through here, and Atomic takes that right away from the corner all the way across into the Furia end of the field. Card, good first touch. He can continue to control this. We're looking for the flip reset and just could not quite activate it. And Chicago swats this ball well away from Yan and out of the reach of Card as well, so that slows him down and almost made him make a choice between boost and ball. And that little hesitation has led to all of this pressure from G2.
That was an escape pass play that will never go in. But man, if it did, Gibbs would have put that on the top plays for sure. But seeing G2, seeing that pressure come out, seeing the fact that they're able, even with all that speed, to find each other in front of the box of Furia is fantastic for them. Great start so far, but we're still tied up here. Pace of game has slowed down a bit as Furia looks for a way in. You see Yan with the pass, but it's cut out by JNaps.
Here comes the great one. Tayo trying to roll one by Chicago. At least slowed him down and was able to yoink that boost away from him. And now Card with Yan in front. Yan's got to dive in here instead because Card lost the plot. And Atomic will send this ball away. JNaps waiting in behind him as well as a safety insurance policy. Here goes Card again, though. Furia resets, trying to regain, get one on the board at the midway point of a game they must win to keep their fall open hopes alive. But Chicago right out to the middle, and well, Atomic was late getting there, and that could have been very dangerous for G2.
It could have been. Kyle was in the backfield too as that play was going on, looking for ways to disrupt. You see him coming in on that play. Now Yan last back. Atomic tried to pre-jump him, but Yan gets a pass. He picks up this mid boost as well. Gonna leave this for Card. Yan playing a little bit further back here, letting Card and Kyle kind of take the push. Again, 2 minutes remain. No one able to stop this stalemate that we've seen so far in Utopia Coliseum.
Yan with a good win. Tayo streaking downfield, out of the reach of Atomic, and yet again, Furia scores first.
Look at this, Yan playing it across. No one saw Kyle until it was too late. Just under the ball, puts all the power behind that one. Furia set the tone, but they've been doing that, Stacks. Now it's about if they can weather the storm coming, that is G2.
Will it be another lead blown, or will Furia get one on the board and start the long, arduous road back for a reverse sweep? It's Card playing that one back, and Chicago for Atomic, and the miss by Kaio, saved by Yan. As here goes Card and Furia trying to extend their lead. Nobody has had a 2-goal lead in this series.
No chance. Yan plays it high off the ceiling, but no one there to get there for Furia. So JNaps will be able to clear it out. Furia trying to extend their lead. G2 stuck in net, so to speak, but all they need is one good breakout chance. Furia trying not to give it to them at all in these final minutes. As Yan, oh, what a redirect from Yan!
Oh, this is brilliant. And when he gets going, he's a difference maker for sure. Just over a minute to go the biggest lead for anybody in this series. Can they get one back on their side? Important kickoff to make sure they don't concede immediately, and they don't. So Atomic has to race all the way back to his own corner. And G2 has to scramble now in the final minute.
The remaining Furia, though, not letting G2 get out of their own half. They're going to try to smother them until the clock hits 0. JNAP's not a chance. Cut out. Kaio has card midfield. Can he give it to him? This is going to be Yan here with a free chance for a shot. Plays it high, forcing Atomic up. Card trying to beat JNAP's, but cannot. Chicago able to put it in his face. It's Atomic versus Yan here, 1v1, and it's beat out. Going the other way. And G2, they might have to look towards the next game stacks because Furia are closing the door on this one. Only 15 seconds left and a 2-goal lead for Furia.
Hard will throw into the backboard, and Kaio will put the finishing touches on a brilliant act of survival and defiance from Furia. 1 down and 3 to go here as we'll tick off the final 8 seconds in a moment.
No smiles here for either side because you know for Furia, even though this is the most successful game that they've had in this series, it's just the start to a long road if they want to turn this series around. G2 definitely going to look to make some changes, but right now Furia take this game for there will be no sweep in this matchup.